if it it costs me blood, sweat, and tears, I'm going to carve my own niche without sacrificing my creative integrity to play to the lowest common denominator, which is the person that can't go more than 30 seconds without checking this thing, because otherwise they suffer from withdrawal symptoms.
And also, you all know me. I'm like one of the most insecure writers as soon as I write it, I hate it. It's the worst. That's stuff. You know what I mean? Like, as soon as it's out, I'm like, that's horrible. What are you doing? I do that.
One of my favorite quotes from Luke recently was he was like, yeah, I just don't care what people think. You hate it? So do I. I'm like, this guy's hilarious.
No one's going to be a bigger critic of my work than myself. So.
Exactly. That's so funny.
Too good. I think I can't really differ too much from what you say, what you guys have talked about. It is true to life, like you see the worst situation of all time. It really does come down to laugh or cry about it, or both. Sometimes, you're crying while you're laughing.
That Courage the Cowardly Dog. Like, I'm going to laugh or I'm going to lose it,
Yeah. Exactly. Or you're going to laugh as you lose it. You got the old, like,
Joker, dude.
Panic laugh. Yeah. But I also think
there is.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I think
there's the third option, which was one of my favorite scenes from Daredevil season 3, which is you got to let out that just primal scream.
Yeah, dude.
That's like taking that release valve and just cranking it. And it's been a while since I've had to do that, but man, that is so cathartic when you're just on that night drive in the car and you just let it out. Oh,
it's a good feeling. You gotta let out a nice car scream every once in a while.
The slightly less cathartic one, because you don't really need the catharsis, is the scream, the primal scream from like joy of absolutely crushing something or succeeding, where you're just like, I just gotta let it out. Like that was too sick.
Yeah,
I can't believe that. But I think with the humor aspect too, to your guys' point, right? Like you almost shift into the character you're writing, which I think about that with the whole personality thing as well. Like writing Jacques versus Nate is very different, and writing Salvatore Cotolino also very different, and it's kind of like there's not really a lot of time for humor in a Giacomo Ferrantino book because he's a man on a mission, and his mission is to do what needs to be done, so he's not going to be cracking jokes, whereas this gets to what I really like about humor and what it says about your characters is it shows who they are regardless of the situation that they're in. If you give a character who's cracking jokes the whole time, and a primo example, I was just telling Luke about this last week. I just restarted one of my favorite series of all time. I talk about it every week. Shel Scott from Richard S. Prather. In the first book, I mean, you were with, it's a spoiler, but it happens in like the second chapter. You start this whole book, he's got this super innocent, sweet girl who's hired him for a case. Everything seems to be going fine, and literally the next chapter she's killed. And you're like, but the whole first chapter, they were making jokes and having a good time. Like literally laugh out loud stuff of him describing these characters. And then next second, they're dead. And then a few seconds later, he's making more jokes because he is a funny guy. He doesn't stop being a funny guy when things hit the fan. He's still funny. He can't help himself. So I think that that's what's super interesting is you add in, especially in all this men's adventure fiction that we write, these thriller, these high impact things, you have people who love their job and they're not doing it because they hate it. That's one of the negative things that I find a lot of times about noir. It's like, bro, why are you still a private investigator? You hate this every book. Like you're miserable. You're in misery. Why are you doing this still? Whereas you have the other guys who are like you see them and it's like, okay, they have like their quality of life is pretty high, even though they're getting shot at. And I think that that's what humor can kind of impart. It's like, man, that guy's a funny guy and he's getting shot at and he's still funny. That's cool. So yeah, I love that aspect when humor is married well. But I also love, like I said, when I'm writing for the personality question, um, I have so much fun writing Nate Colt. I could write Nate Colt till the end of time, and I would enjoy it every single time. Jacques is he's a little more bland to me, and he's harder to write. But what's cool. I have to almost take on his determinedness in the personality to write the story. Like now I'm becoming him to finish this task that I don't necessarily want to do, which is the same thing that he's doing to get through the 25,000 people in the heart of Alexandria. It's like he's not one to fight all those dudes. He just has to do it. It's the same thing for writing. I've talked about it before, the Nate Colt thing where the story ran dry, the case ran dry for him. It's like, okay, well now I can really actually be him to do it. So there certainly is some sort of personality shift of like, okay, this is a new part of me that I need to grow more into to finish this book. This is a new part of me that I need to grow more into to understand this character. So it's very, I don't know, enlightening. You understand more of yourself every time you've done something, and it's like, man, that's sick. That's cool. I know more about myself than I did when I finished or when I started this, and I like that a lot.
Well said.
And then on the flip side, for the antagonist things, at least for me, I've come up with some things where I'm like, what the hell's wrong with me? Some really messed up stuff. I'm like, this is going to make for a great read, but where did that come from?
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's true, dude. And that's where, people have to always remember what writers are putting in their book doesn't necessarily mean that's what they endorse and agree with. Because sometimes, dude, I'm like putting the points of views of the bad guys in there, or like doing certain things, and I'm like, that is like to your point, like, where did that? It's so messed up. Why'd you say that? But then it's like, I'm just being honest to what that character is. Like, that's not me. Yeah. I'm just if that is what that kind of character is. I'm sorry, but sometimes people get it twisted, and they'll be like, "You think that?" And it's no, dude, chill.
Like writing Swashbuckler, who's then like stops and is like, here's what's wrong with capitalism. Looking right at the camera. Like, well, hold on, what?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It's too funny. Yeah, that's a good point.
Giving you that kind of speech, you're like, what?
What happened?
You thought you were going after the gold. Will you shut up?
If it wasn't for capitalism, I wouldn't be a pirate. Like, bro, calm down. It's too good.
Fun times.
There's a parody somewhere that we should write eventually.
We definitely should.
Sounds like it could be.
It's lit. Now it's number 17.
It could be an episode of the Doc Veritas serialized book. I feel like it might fit in there somewhere.
But with prolific writers like yourselves, do you find that, like, even internally, maybe on the page, it seems super, super different to people, but is there kind of like one theme or one kind of thing you're returning to or hitting on in your writing that seems like you're always returning to that or always exploring that?
I'm going to let Nathaniel go first on that one because I got to mull that one over a little bit.
Go for it, Nathaniel. What you got?
Unfortunately, or fortunately for me, I do not have to mull that over at all because the only thing that I'm ever interested in putting into my books is that it's sick to be a man. And that's really all that I am ever interested in writing.
Yeah.
And I guess that informs a lot of other worldview aspects, because then you can get into the whole conversation of what makes a man, what is masculinity, all that stuff. And I've fleshed that out more and more. But really I don't know if there's something wrong with me in the sense of like, I really don't feel compelled to try and put in a worldview other than just like be manly and do sick stuff. Like that's the worldview. I hope after you read it, you're like, well, I'm going to go like run in the woods or punch a tree or climb something, like, or start chopping wood with an axe, like stuff like that. It's just all these ideas that just hopefully make your testosterone rise and you just fired up to be a man and try and be studly. So that's the.
Well, I'm gonna weigh in, Nathaniel, and say that first off, no, nothing's wrong with you for not trying to. Again,
go back to that shit.
Now, comedy works in threes. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna take my worldview, and I think that's an issue with a lot of contemporary storytelling nowadays.
Yeah, for sure.
The writer, the showrunner, whomever, instead of just being like, let's naturally tell a story that goes along with that is a story that happens to be aligned with these certain values, whatever. We're gonna that's the value. Then we're gonna craft the story around it, and I think it comes across as disingenuous. And as a consumer of media, it comes across as insulting.
Yeah.
You're gonna hold my hand to get me to your through line and your morals. Like, no, let me figure it out myself, or figure out, maybe that's actually kind of a bad thing, instead of that being like, and this guy on the banner is the bad guy because he believes in this,
Right. Yeah, dude, it feels like adult versions of the morality tales you're giving little kids, and like to your point, they
Yeah.
feel like talked down to, and you're like, I just wanted a sick movie. And also, like, to The Godfather and stuff like that, it doesn't, it just lets you figure it out yourself and get your own take on it. You could think one way about Vito Corleone, you could think another way about, like, it gives you that open-endedness, which the best stories should give you that open-ended. You take what you think and you tell me, rather than it being like, this is how you have to see this, or else you're a bad person. You're bad purse, like, let me just figure it out.
It's funny that you bring up Godfather, because I feel like both the master and the ultimate failure of this whole concept is the Yellowstone Taylor Sheridan thing, which is like, on one hand, they're a great family. On the other hand, are these guys a crime family? And you have to come to that and make peace with that on your own terms, right? But then at the later season, I've talked about it 100 times. The 5th season, the second half, is one of my least favorite things of TV of all time, because there are two like 3-minute monologues of Taylor Sheridan just writing what his worldview is and literally cramming it down your throat, when he handled it so masterfully before, where you were like, I don't know what the worldview is. I'm having to figure it out for myself, because we have all these different things coming together. And then at the end, he's like, be a cowboy, and if you're not a cowboy, you're a loser. It's like, bro, what the? You could have said that so much less blatantly. Like, you could have worked that.
It's like the through line of like all of his stuff except maybe Lioness, but even that one, because I haven't watched that one yet. That being said, still huge fan of Taylor Sheridan. Yes, we all have stumbling blocks like that, and he is absolutely an influence in my later style of writing now. But to answer the original question, I never set out to write a story being like, this is the message that I want them to do. I would say the closest that I've gotten to that is the cyberpunk book, which is mainly, and I'm kind of open about it right in the epigraph, which is, if you kick a dog long enough, it's either going to bite you or die. Mm-hmm. And it's it's about, again, this character who reaches a breaking point and makes the decision of, am I going to punch my own ticket, or am I going to take the fight to the people that took everything to me, even though it's the system that I was previously a part of. But I hope I write it in a way where, even though he ends up doing some terrible things, his reasoning behind it, people can actually pontificate about it. It's not just going to be binary, oh, he's now a bad guy. Because that's, unless you're an absolute sociopath, that's not how real life works either.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so, there's a lot of factors that go into it. But like the Modern Mercenary series, there was never a through line. Oh, we're going to talk about the morality, how America's number one, because I think in every back cover blurb, I talk about people basically being like, yeah, there's a line and they have to cross it to get the job done.
Right.
So maybe that could be the through line, and like loyalty, I've been told, is a good, and brotherhood and all that. But I never write out to be like, this is all about the power of friendship in the war zone and things like that. Persona non grata, I didn't have a theme to go with, other than maybe, I don't know, learn to let shit go eventually, or it's going to kill you.
That's a good theme.
And for certain characters, to not spoil anything.
Yeah.
But at the same time, again, and if, I don't know if you've read it or not, it's an absolute tome, so I'm not going to be offended if you haven't, but I know Luke has, so he'll know, like, a lot of those characters, your interpretation of them could go one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. That's what I like too. Even if characters are like, people would mostly agree this is a bad person, the good storytelling still lets you wonder, like, about that, and what do we take from that? Where do we learn from that? Where did that come from? Why was that? There's so many. It's not just like black and white thinking and just here you go. That it's cut and dry. Don't ask questions. The best
It's
stories.
boring when it's like
Yeah,
that.
it is boring. The best stories should have you ask questions. You should engage with it. That's what, to Nathaniel's point earlier, we were talking about the Sigma male stuff. We were talking about Taxi Driver, and it's like we're still talking about Taxi Driver. Like, how are we
Yeah.
still talking about Taxi Driver? Because it did it masterfully. It wasn't just like some weird, blatant
40
random
some
things.
years later,
Yeah,
still
like
talking
it's
about it.
still relevant. So, yeah, you gotta not blast people over the head with your world. You just gotta take away from the power.
It's boring, and especially when they get so repetitive. Because that's
Yeah.
the other thing is it's like they can't just hit you once; they got to keep hitting you over the head with it again and again. It's like, I get it, move on, just tell your story, please. I've
It's hateful.
so many books in the last 3 or 4 years because of that, and I don't feel bad. I used to hate it. I can't not finish a book. I got to read it all the way through. Now I'm like, done with this. Moving on to something that actually interests me.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah, dude. You brought up a really good point. Luke, did you feel like you answered that question? Actually, I don't think you did. What's your theme?
I don't need to answer.
No, I gotta know the theme though. All right, we'll circle back. We'll figure out what your theme is on a later podcast episode, I guess.
The theme episode.
Yeah, it'll just be me begging Luke to tell us the theme.
What do you believe in? It's like that one uncle at Christmas. Who'd you vote for?
That's funny. What kind of writer are you?
You brought up a really good point about how content has kind of downshifted and downgraded over the last several years. And then we were talking about a movie that's 40 something years old in Taxi Driver. I can't necessarily think of the next movie that's going to be like a movie that's come out in the last 10 years that people are going to be talking about for 40 years. So what do you think, both of you guys, what do you think has led to this decline in storytelling?
Yeah, dude. The phone sucks for so many reasons.
Well, it's a combination of that, the proliferation of anti-intellectualism, especially throughout America.
That was a hell of a sentence, dude.
and the elimination of critical thinking, the elimination of nuance. The tribalization on everything from politically to socially to economically, really anything within the greater society. It's all turned into you're either with us or you're against us. I mean, it's in video games, it's in books, it's in movies, it's in music nowadays. How many modern songs are out there nowadays where they're basically just yelling their worldview at you with a backing track? And I think that's been a huge contributor of it, is the polarization, the lack of nuance. No one can just have a conversation anymore. It's either you're with us or against us. You're either my friend or my enemy. And my media is going to be representative of that if it's modern media, as well as, again, the rise of anti-intellectualism. How many things nowadays have a second screen option? Because most people are watching. They're like, huh? Oh, yeah, that's on in the background as they're doing this. Wait, what happened? Oh, whatever. It doesn't matter. They're going to repeat it in 5 seconds anyway.
Yeah.
Or they write it so simplistically nowadays where you can be paying 90% of your attention to this thing and still get it because they're just saying the big keywords. Well, they're not big words because people can't comprehend big words anymore. They're saying the tiny words that lead to the big picture that they want you to take away of whatever their message is that they're trying to beam into your head.
Yeah, dude.
Some heavy stuff, dude.
Again, brilliantly said. And I'm not even being funny this time. Like that is, I think what you said is a lot of what I feel, especially the anti-intellectualism, and then pair that with like just the greed of the people putting this stuff out. Of like, we gotta make sure we gotta hedge our bets so much, so everything's gonna compress down to the most safe, generic, simple options we can keep because we're not about to ruffle any feathers. We gotta make our margins, dude. So it's like, dang it, dude, everything sucks now.
Another great movie, 40 some years on. Actually, thinking about it now, Taxi Driver's close to 50 some years on, but another great movie, 40 some years on, that brings up Luke's point of just those simple beaming those concepts into your head, They Live. When he starts putting on the
Yeah,
sunglasses
huh?
and just obey. This is your God, and it's some money,
Yeah.
things like that. That's what it feels like nowadays, especially. So I don't have regular TV. The only thing I ever get ads on is Pandora because I'm too cheap to pay the $5 to not get the ads on it. Yes, I still use Pandora. Everyone make their jokes. Oh, is that still a thing? Yes, it is. Probably because I still use it. They're like, this one
Can't
guy
shut it down.
consistently, we can't shut it down.
So funny.
But then I'll go to we have a little Irish pub here on base. So I'll go to that occasionally and you'll watch the commercials and it's so infantilized. It's just like you want to buy this, you want to buy this, you need this medication to be happy. If you sports bet, you can be rich.
Dude, the
You
sports
want to
betting
buy
ones.
this, you want to buy that. Don't even get me started on the sports betting. You guys
So annoying.
already got me torqued up on these topics. But yeah, it's and that infantilization has bled into the video games, the movies, the shows, the books nowadays. It's everywhere. And it's because, and this also goes into my absolute hatred of ChatGPT and all things AI. No one thinks anymore. Growing up in the 90s and the 2000s, what were we told? Oh, don't watch the TV. It'll brainwash you. They're brainwashing you.
It'll rot your brain, dude.
Now it's actually happening. And people are like, I watched a video the other day. It was horrifying about these people who were having like AI-induced psychosis. They're like, oh, I asked ChatGPT what I should buy to make dinner, and it didn't work, so I just was stuck in the aisle for like 20 minutes.
Jeez.
What are we doing here? Like, is this satire? And it wasn't.
There's some
That was
pasta.
the scariest
There's some
thing.
cheese. Mac and cheese.
Yeah, exactly. Potatoes and meat make it work. That's
Go
all
wait
you
for it
need.
to load. Just
Yeah, exactly. ChatGPT. Like, what are we doing here? And it's so
horrifying.
endemic in the society nowadays, and it's why people can't handle old movies anymore. And it's why I saw another video because this is also what I do just to get my blood pressure up at work, and I'm not super busy. So I just watch these videos. This girl was talking about her, I guess, like younger sister-in-law or something, because there's a big age difference, and the younger girl's probably 8 or 9 years old. And she's like, so what's like good on the Disney Channel nowadays? And the younger girl, the 7, 8-year-old iPad kid goes, oh, I don't consume plot-based media anymore.
What?
Because it's all just that brain rot, short form media.
Skibidi toilet, dude. That's about all they consume.
Exactly, yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's brutal out there, dude. It is brutal sometimes.
Anyway, sorry to take us on that tangent. I kind of blacked out for a second. I hope I didn't say anything uncouth.
Only couth things were said.
It was very couth, very couth. The most couth.
It triggered.
Take an Ambien and fire up the old Twitter machine and see what happens. There's a throwback for you.
Get this guy writing some plot-based media immediately. This is kind of what's diabolical about it, right? Is that now we're at a point where they're not making anything good enough to consume with your full attention. So now you have to be on your phone to watch a Netflix movie because but then the third scene, you've heard the plot point 10, 15 times. I mean, Matt Damon literally said, you guys are not going to like this movie as much because Netflix made us repeat it every 5 minutes what the plot was. Because they know that people are paying attention to their phones. And I mean, that's when your point about the anti-intellectualism and all that, I remember I talked about this on the podcast before. I talked about it with Terrence Leahy on his podcast. The Charade movie with Cary Grant and Audrey Hepburn, fantastic movie. And 3 minutes in, you're getting some of the sharpest, quickest dialogue that takes your brain, now that we've been brain rotted for the last 10 years, it literally took me a few seconds to realize I should be laughing because those were some perfectly delivered, funny lines. And they were just on a higher level where you have to you have to put your phone down, you have to pay attention to the movie to get all of the stuff that's going on, to follow the plot, to follow the humor, to follow the dialogue, to follow everything. And now you don't have to do that. It's literally just like, this guy goes and does this. Oh, he's going to go do that. Someone tell him he's going to go do that. And then you're like, well, I already know he's going to do that. I'm going to go on my phone. And then you're not paying attention to the movie. Another primo example, I am chief among the dual screen guys of all time. Maybe sometimes three. I've been editing videos on my computer, having my phone and watching Better Call Saul on the TV. But there are times when that show, because it's fantastically well written, it's one of the better shows that's come out in the last decade. You got to put everything down. It's like, all right, you got my attention. I'm sorry I was on my phone earlier. Don't kill this guy. I got to see what's going to happen. And that's like, it's seems hopeless, like we've got this whole entire generation. I think it's the generation below me that are, I guess, not consuming plot-based media, dude. They're literally existing on, I think, I don't know, it might have been, it was either Luke, I think it was you, when we went to Florida. You said, like, I was watching the kid next to me swipe out of the videos before it had even started playing. Like, he was literally just swiping on his phone before the TikTok could load. Like, how did he know he didn't like it? He's not. And I mean, taking that from even just a book marketing perspective, you have 0.0001 second to convince someone to continue watching your ad or whatever it is that you're trying to market. Like, dude, you're cooked. There's no way. So I guess this part 2 of this question is, how do we bring entertainment back to what it could be? And I don't know if I have an answer.
By dragging everyone kicking and screaming back to it. By continuing to write complex and nuanced characters and worlds.
There you go.
Yeah, it will be they will have their freaking nail marks through the TikTok of it all. I think that's definitely true.
Are you guys millennials or Gen Z?
I was 96, so whatever that is.
I was 97, so I think I honestly don't know. I'm right in between the cutoff.
I was going to say, because if you guys are Gen Z, I'm getting off this podcast right now.
See you later. I think I'm millennial.
We're actually turning this all into TikToks right now. I've been on my phone the whole time. You just haven't seen.
Yeah, it'd be brutal.
You do that masterfully, if that's the case.
I was like, I've actually been writing 3 books while we're talking.
I wouldn't be mad about that. That'd just be impressive.
That would be cool.
Impressive.
But no, sincerely, I think that the only way to combat that is to continue going against the grain, going against the oversimplified, barely plot, if there even can be considered one.
Yeah,
writing complex characters with snappy dialogue, with nuanced worlds and themes, and yeah, just not making it easy on the reader. Don't write it like it's a textbook or like a technical manual,
right.
But don't just be like, the sky was blue, he was bad, they were good, they won at the end. You don't want.
Yeah,
this is how you know it's getting good, because I'm starting to bring out my dumb guy voice. And that's how, and that's partly why the project I told you about that I'm forcing myself to wait before writing, because I don't want to be like them, but they're the closest examples that I can give for the level of, I hate how pretentious it's going to sound, but the level of intellectualism that I'm going for with the themes and the character interactions and the descriptions and all that. I'm aiming to be on the likes of, or on the level of the likes of Frank Herbert, Tolkien, George R.R. Martin, Pierce Brown. These are complex. Like, you can't be like, I'm going to scroll while also reading, or I'm going to do something while listening to. Like, I want people to have to be like, I got to put 110% of my effort into this to really get as much as I can out of it, and potentially even have to go back and read it again a second or a third time to pick up on things that I missed the first or second.
Dude, that's a huge thing that I told Nathaniel I'm trying to do that this year. Is like, I know I haven't been able to read as many physical books. So we're listening to a lot of books for like the Veritas stuff we put out. And like last year, I just like did not read as many physical books. So I was like, all right, I'm going to work with that. And I actually think this could work to my benefit, is that I'm just reading them way slower and trying to get so much out of them. Because when they are really well written books, like I'm reading Bendigo Shafter at a very slow pace, like, dude, there is so much I can pull from that. And I can just work with it for so long. I can treat it the same way I treat my writing, where I look at that concept, I like what he's saying, go find secondary sources that talk about the same kind of thing. Look at that. Look at lectures about it. You can read something so much more full if there's actually like substance there. There's like meat and potatoes that you can, take over and make a nice recipe with. If it's just the slop, like people call it, like it's not helpful. And you like, what is there to get out of it? So yeah, I think to your point, you got to be providing that and aiming for that. And why, we can't just let Lord of the Rings and Dune and stuff, those were amazing. We're never going to have that again. So sorry. Like we have to have people aiming for that.
Yeah. But again, I don't want to be the next Tom Clancy. I don't want to be the next Pierce Brown, the next J.R.R. Tolkien, because I'm never going to be them. They've already either come and gone or are doing their thing right now. In the case of Pierce Brown's point, Red Rising series, phenomenal. If you haven't read it, I'm Zach James.
Right.
I'm gonna carve. If it costs me blood, sweat, and tears, I'm going to carve my own niche without sacrificing my creative integrity to play to the lowest common denominator, which is the person that can't go more than 30 seconds without checking this thing, because otherwise they suffer from withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah, dude.
Well said.
And that's my declaration. And that's why you should read my books.
That's what's in every single one of his books. The themes played through. Yeah, I think you guys are onto something here. I think there also is a way too to like take the really crappy mediums that are now open to people to get content and somehow shift it and turn it on its head just enough that it still catches their attention, but it then takes them out of it. And by the end of it, they're like, oh, what have I been doing? Like, I need more stuff like this. What's this about? And I'm not sure how that's done. I don't know if it's audiobooks, skits on TikTok that are story based and carries themes over from books. If it's like something I really like and think is a super cool thing that hasn't been utilized very much is like motion comics. The Uncharted Eye of Indra motion comic is really, really sick, and it's an audio book with still visuals that sort of, it's just a fantastic medium that is woefully neglected. So I think that there's ways to do it within the mediums that we have now that can almost redeem them. Like I've talked about it before. It ended up not being that great because I think it ended up having some sort of underlying message that they forced down your throat. But there was a really cool Snapchat TV show, essentially. And you would hop on, and it was about a zombie apocalypse, and you literally watched it as if people were taking Snapchats of this event happening. And it was all through Snapchat and live stream, so it was recorded on the phone, and it was a really great narrative story until they got like, oh, this is what you have to think. This is what you have to believe. But it was really engaging. And I don't know. Nothing like that's ever happened again,
These zombies are terrible, and I wish that the life wasn't like this. If only Elon Musk hadn't released that version of the Tesla. Like, it's just like crammed in there, like there's no natural.
What happened here? Yeah.
It's all, patient zero came out of that building. It's like the Amazon headquarters. It's like just no subtlety at all.
But I thought it was a super cool concept. So I don't know. And that's the other thing too. It's like, how do you, as a small independent author, independent company, how do you figure out how to find the next trajectory to reach people?
Right.
But I think this could get us, you have been doing the Lord's work over there with audiobook stuff. How's that? Tell us about that a little bit.
Man. So yeah, the recording and producing your audiobook is a simultaneously awesome and soul-crushing experience.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Because for me, I hate the sound of my own voice. And especially also having read, well, first off, written and read and rewritten and reread and rewritten and edited and reread the story so many times. So now I got to go through the story again. And of course, while you're recording it, in the audiobook, you hear the end product. I should make a blooper reel at some point of me just losing my mind after flubbing the same line like 6 or 7 times, where I'm just like, screaming at my computer, because I don't have my headphones on when I'm recording. So all of a sudden, like, Discord or there'll be a pop-up, and I'm just like, oh, thanks, Microsoft, and I'm screaming at my computer because it just ruined what would have been otherwise a really good take. And then you got to sit there, because say you record a 15-minute chapter. That's the ending thing. Well, in reality, that 15-minute chapter was probably a 45-minute audio file.
Yeah.
And then you spend about an hour and a half editing. So
brutal.
It is brutal. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's a lot of work. I have a lot of respect for sound engineers because I hate editing audio.
Yeah.
However, I also hate spending money more.
Yeah, that's true enough.
Which is why I started doing it myself. To part the kimono a little bit for anyone who's looking at producing an audiobook and just paying someone to do it. So for the first 4 audiobooks that I had where I had someone else narrate it, it cost me between $2,500 to $4,000 a piece.
Oof.
And they did great work.
Pretty steep.
I can't give enough credit to Matt Williamson and Robert Dane for their work. Matt Williamson narrated books 1 through 3 of Modern Mercenaries, and Rob narrated Occupant. I can't give them enough credit. They took those stories and they brought them to life with their performances, and I'll be forever in their debt plus whatever I paid them. But, man, I mean, I am still, again, to part the kimono, I'm still very much in the red because of those expenses.
Right.
For just overall revenue vice revenue that I brought in vice what I spent for production.
Yeah.
So I decided to take it upon myself where I was like, you know what? Let me spend the $400 to set up my little sound booth, which next time, if you guys are like, that guy yapped too much, we're never having him on again. But if that's not the case, I might actually record this from inside the audio booth next time.
It'll be so much better than our audio, though. It will be horrible.
Night and day.
Well, I'm in mission control right now. This is because I'm locked in a tiny closet. There's not a whole lot of air circulation. I'm just breathing heavy and sweating after a while. But it fiscally, and also for selfishly some bragging rights, I was like, it'd be a lot easier to just build my own audio space because I've got this closet in this house here and do it myself. I know the story. I know the characters. I know what they need to sound like. I've got a decent enough voice that I can do it where people aren't going to be like, I'm not listening to that. It's not Gilbert Gottfried reading War and Peace. You know, imagine rest in peace, but imagine what a nightmare that would be. I got to listen to this for 36 hours.
Yeah,
no,
that
I'm
would
not
be rough.
doing that.
That will be rough.
And then it gets into the selfish point. So now I can be like, I'm a narrator too. I recorded, edited, and produced my own audiobook.
Yeah.
You know, so if anyone's like, well, you know, writing's so easy, I'm like, you want to bet?
Not the way I do
it. You're just reading your own book. You're right. And I did it badly a lot.
I think people underestimate how hard it is to read even your own book back.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've done like a YouTube video where I'll just read the first chapter or so. Like, dude, I'm flub so much. I only imagine going through the whole book. I'm like, that would be nightmare fuel, dude.
So here's so the finalized audiobook of Containment, available on Audible for those of you who want to listen. That's a shameless plug right there.
Hell yeah, dude.
Came out to 10 hours and 52 minutes.
Okay.
The raw audio that I recorded pre any edits was 18 hours and 36 minutes.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, bro, I can't even fathom. Like, I remember we filmed the detective short film, and we set it up. I mean, this is a 7-minute long short film, right? So even comparing this to what you've done is insulting. But you set it up.
No, not at all. Editing is editing.
Well, you get guy one, and no one memorizes their lines. I was told by my film teachers that no one memorizes their lines in real movies anymore. They literally just have someone read them their lines, and they say them until they got it right. And so that's what we did, right? So I got this set up on guy one. He reads line. I read him his lines. So I've got a 14-minute file for him. And then I go over to guy 2, 14-minute file for him. Guy 3, 14-minute file for him. 2-shot, 14-minute file. and then going through and matching it up with the shots, trying to figure out, okay, which line goes here, which line goes here, which was the good one, which was the bad one. So imagining you cutting down the 18 hours to 10 hours, 52 minutes, brother, that's...
But it goes back to, I'm sitting there, I guess there were days where I'm like, I can't. I got to just take a break, whatever. Because I'll be sitting there like hour 4 of listening to myself read these. I'm like, no one's going to like this. My voice is terrible. The performance is awful. I just click, drag, click. Oh, good. I repeated myself. Click, drag. Oh, well, the first half of that one was good, and the second half of that one was good. Splice it and put it together, Oh, good. I said the wrong character's name for that, and I didn't do a second take. Let me go find another take where I say that character's name and try to splice it in where it doesn't sound.
Dude, the other thing too is I guess you have to be reading your book the whole time you're listening to it to make sure it's because I mean, I remember it was one of our most popular episodes. People loved it when we probably read 6 or 7 short stories, and I just went to town I added gunshots, I added music, I added all that stuff, and we've never done it again. And the reason is because it probably took like 20 hours of editing afterward. And I mean, it's really fun and I really liked it, but to roll up and just read short stories and not do any backing for it after I worked so hard the first time would be insulting to the listeners. And I just don't have that kind of time. There's no way that I'm going to spend 20 hours on 1 hour long podcast episode.
I pictured like the first episode, Nathaniel's all prim and proper, and he's like changing outfits for each story and all that. And the second one's him in his shed. He's just got like a pair of shorts, flannel on, cigars. You get what you get. Chapter 1.
Do this. Yeah, dude.
You click off. I don't care.
Something I want to ask you every time I've ever read my books for reading purposes, inevitably, no matter how many times it's been edited before, I'll read something and I'll start going off somewhere else. I'm like, well, that's not what it says. I'm like, what the hell was he thinking? Like, who wrote this? Like, that's not what that line should have been. It should have ended this way. So then I'm rewriting the book, and then I'm like, oh, well, I got to update it in KDP, I guess. Like, what the hell?
That's why eventually it still happens where like for some reason I'm reading Deception again for something, and I'll catch a mistake, and I'm like, that's staying. That's
right.
I can't believe
because again, like you said, I gotta edit in KDP. I gotta edit it in the paperback. I gotta edit in the hardcover. I'm not going and editing someone else's audiobook, like the person who recorded that. I'm like, it is what it is. That's why if you listen to the audiobook, even though I've gotten them all blessed off to not be redacted anymore, it still has the redactions in it. It's like, I'm not going to call this guy and be like, could you say the word Delta Force 14 times in different ways so I can splice it in? That's like, no, I'm just going to leave it as it is.
That's funny.
Yeah, I'm with you. I definitely have a move on mentality with that kind of stuff too. I just cannot. It's too much bandwidth that I don't want to give up.
Yeah, dude.
I want to
for sure.
That's like my mentality now is like, I'll do hardcover, paperback, Kindle, great. Once the audiobook is done and out there, I'm probably never going to read that story again.
Yeah.
Unless I'm working on book 7 in the series, and I want to make sure I accurately reference something for book 3.
Right.
Then I'm pulling it up, Control F, whatever I need to find. Yeah, because I don't want to read through the whole thing yet again.
Yeah, dude. It is. I mean, Luke and I have talked about that a bunch of times. You go through by the time you're supposed to start promoting a book, you absolutely hate that thing beyond.
Yeah. You're like, I don't want to talk about
it. Oh, you're gonna love this. I don't anymore, but you will. For your first time reading it, it's gonna be great. Number 10 or 11, you're gonna hate it. I promise you.
What was your motivation behind when he said this at this line? It's like, I don't know. What did you want it to mean? Like,
whatever you think.
He's stupid, whatever. Because I'm stupid. It's move on.
As an artist, I have relinquished my control of this work to you. Take it wherever you want, brother. I can't do anymore.
Yeah. You want him to like egg whites instead of full eggs? That's fine. I don't care. Just smoking a cigarette the whole time,
Yeah, dude.
That's too funny.
And I can only imagine.
Again, there's a skit idea somewhere here for this.
Imagine going on like a huge tour of having to do it a bunch, like the book tour people. Dude, I'm sure I would just by the end of that want to rip my eyes off. Like that would be so hard for me. I wouldn't be able to talk about my own book that I already have read too many times, that many times. I'd be like, are you sure you don't want to talk about any other book? Anybody else's? This would be
Yeah.
a great time to talk about Zach James's new book or Nathaniel,
Yeah.
because I don't want to talk about mine.
You got to start
You gotta like bring us with you, just like sit off the side and be like, I'm done. Zach, come out. Do your thing for
It'll
like
be
the
like
next
the
half hour.
WWE
I don't
tag
care.
teams.
That's
Tag people in.
that also reminds me of there's a really silly joke about I can't think of who it is. Einstein is on a tour and he's driving around, and his limo driver's heard everything, and his limo driver's like, "Yeah, your speech isn't even that hard." And Einstein's like, "Okay, well, you give it at the next one." And so he gives it, and everyone's like, "Wow, that's great." And then they ask him a super tough question that he has no way of knowing, and he says, "That question's so easy, my limo driver could answer it." And then Einstein's able to answer.
I like that.
We got to start subbing in for each other on this 3-man book tour, and I'll talk about the modern Mercs, and you can talk about Noah Redford, and Luke will talk about. Yeah, it's super. I mean, I also think that narrating audiobooks would be so sick, and I really would like to do it. And Treasure Is My Trade is not a super long book, so there I have a great starting place. But then I start thinking about there's like 3 girls in that. I'm not gonna. How many times am I gonna try to do a girl voice before it's right?
Well, let me give you the secret to that. Don't. Just soften your voice just a little bit.
Okay, cool.
But because me personally, that irks me when you'll be listening. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. Well, I used to. And there are a lot where, because like in Containment, there were a bunch of girl characters. In Persona Non Grata, there's a bunch of girl characters. And I'm not going to, and I apologize for anyone listening to this because this is why I'm not going to do it, but I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, I just need all this help. Can you help? I'm not going to subject people to that. I'm just like, you get the normal voice. You know, if I can do the accent, I'm going to do the accent.
Right.
Well, if I could do it well, I should say. I'm not going to go out there and just do like a horribly stereotypical, borderline, potentially racist, cholo accent or something like that. I'll just say it as is, or I'll put just the tinge of an accent. But yeah, so you don't have to go and try to do the whole girl voice. Look at up until I would say about 15 years ago, that really wasn't a thing. Like you listen to any of the old Tom Clancy audiobooks, and other than unless they had a Russian accent, it was the exact same voice the entire time, and it did not take away from the story. I was like, that doesn't sound like a girl, because the story was good enough that it didn't matter who was narrating it, unless, of course, again, rest in peace, Gilbert Godfrey. That might be a little different.
And I think too, like Louis L'Amour. Louis L'Amour, when he talks about writing in the oral tradition, and I think you literally speak your stories out loud as you write them. It's almost like you can shift it in your mind of like, it's not like an audio drama retelling of the story. It's me telling you this story. And if Nate Colt at the bar is telling you the story, he's not going to hit a girl's voice and be like, doing this in the back.
If he did, you would hate talking with Nate Colt.
You'd be like, can you, sir, shut up? And I'm going to go back to my drink now. I need you to leave.
Worst story I ever heard.
Yeah. That being said, too, I want to give credit where credit's due. You two have exceptional voices, and you're actually doing your readers/listeners a disservice by not narrating your own stuff. Because I can listen to both of you read the back of a freaking cereal box. So, and then
that's too kind.
By your powers combined with like Fighting Heart of Man and all that, doing those. Whether you do yours respectively or each other's or whatever, that would be an awesome audiobook collection.
That's a good idea.
We're just too mentally weak right now. We got to break those barriers of being fearful of the audiobook experience, dude.
Yeah, we'll do it.
We know.
I shouldn't have said anything, because now you guys are like, what did I get myself into?
Well, I mean, it's been on the docket for a long time, and I remember, I think last year after I released Treasure Is My Trade, Caroline's like, your goal for 2025 should be to get Treasure Is My Trade up as an audiobook. And I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. We're 2 months into 2026, boys. So goal not accomplished, but I will.
Oh, well.
I am interested in
it's a rolling goal.
Yeah. It's the goal for every year until it happens.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. But, I mean, hell, from 2015 on, I was like, I'm going to publish this book. It was Persona Non Grata. It didn't happen until freaking 2024. So
Like,
Gotta love the perseverance, dude. It's better than letting the goal go, you know, and be like, forget it.
It goes back to that
Perseverance.
conversation of the shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah, seriously. You definitely regret not doing it, guys. We'll regret not doing it. We'll be like, we should have just dealt with the audio edit at the end of the day, you know?
And I mean, potentially too, if you're that worried about the girl boys thing, bring your wives in on it.
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot.
That's what I've considered doing for some other things too. That's one thing that I would love, especially for books like Occupant and Containment, is actually eventually still keeping the audiobooks as they are, but producing a second version that's more of like an audio drama where I have an ensemble cast, and it's kind of like what you described earlier, Nathaniel, where there are background noises, potentially some music, but at least the
like
spaceship creaking,
right,
guns cocking, and roars in the distance when they hear something and they're like, "What was that?" Things like that,
Yeah, dude, that's sick.
Audio dramas need to make, like, if we're talking about hedging bets, I think audio dramas need to make a bigger comeback, take over what the podcast space was for like a giant portion of like 2015 onwards. Like, make audio dramas sick, because
dude.
Like, listen, I remember when I was writing Gun Law and listening to like the old like Lone Ranger, like audio dramas, dude. Those are so fun.
They were doing all the sound effects with like the balloon.
It's wild. It's such a fun experience. Yeah.
For true authenticity, we shot real guns in the background on Nathaniel was narrating.
You'll notice that I get
anything.
increasingly loud as the audiobook goes on. It's because my hearing really.
That's so good.
The things we do for the craft.
For the craft. Truly too good. Well, thank you so much, my friend, for coming on for a nice long podcast, dude. This may be a one-parter.
Awesome.
Might be a one-parter. Who knows? We'll see. But
on TikTok, it'll be 400 parts.
We'll end in the middle of words too, so they have to go to the next one just to figure out what the word is, let alone
what happened. All of that one like slower paced Sigma Male song is playing in the background. Each clip.
This guy's on to something here. What's up on the docket for you? What can we expect from Zach James? I mean, you said so. Containment's on Audible. Is Persona non grata up there yet? How's that looking?
No, I think I'm gonna get through the rest of the backlog before I take on that beast. Because just from projected on word count, that one's gonna be like a 30-hour audiobook.
Brother,
which means the final was gonna be like.
Yeah,
I am not prepared for that yet.
Yeah,
I'm not prepared for that. I can't even imagine.
I've got too many other things I need to knock out first, like both personally and professionally, before I try to summit that mountain. But yes, Containment just came out on audiobook. It's available on Audible. I think it's like $27 or something like that if you're not an Audible member. I don't set the price, so don't yell at me for the price. That's all Amazon. But other than that, on March 27th, Book 6 of the Modern Mercenary Thriller series, Behind the Fence, comes out.
Go. Hell yeah, dude.
And that's not too far from now.
That is not too far at all.
Exciting stuff.
About a month and a half.
Heck yeah.
Book 6. And then there's only one more in the mainline series before that one closes out. That'll be next year.
Wow. This guy's out of control.
Well, definitely have you back on to talk about that. I mean, I don't want to open that can of worms now, but that's got to be a cool experience getting to like the tail end of something that started so long ago,
Yeah, especially once you guys read it, I'll be very interested to talk about it.
Very
maybe a couple of orcs will be making their way, cool. Very unedited, like my editor hasn't even touched them yet.
Yeah. That would be great. That's super exciting stuff. That's a great series. You guys should check it out. I mean, it's also super cool having you on here. You were our first guest ever, I believe. So full circle, and we talked a lot about the kind of concept of thriller versus pulp versus men's adventure fiction, and how they're all like under the tree and the same but different. So check that episode out. Check out Modern Mercs. Check out Persona non grata. Check out right here. It is a big boy, dude. There's no denying it. But Yeah, man.
Yeah, dude,
Thank
just
you.
check
I
out.
forgot I sent you an early copy of that. That's on
did.
the Gray Band.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Check
we'll
out.
read-
That thing, that's gonna be such a doozy to record.
Yeah, that is
Edit.
going to be brutal, dude.
I'm like,
I
I'm like getting tired just thinking about it. I'm gonna have to just have you guys do like weekly welfare checks on me once I start doing that one.
Yeah,
We should
I mean, for real.
you should sub us in and we'll all read. It'll go one, you say one word, we say the next word, Luke says the next.
I'm not editing that. Unless we're all in the same room, just doing it sequentially. If you send me 3 files of all of us and I gotta parse each word, I'm gonna throw my computer out the window.
the entire book, dude.
That would be horrible. It would also be just a bad listening experience too.
So jarring. You're like, what is this?
If you make it all the way to the end of this without cheating, we will pay you money.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Sorry, you were gonna say something, Luke. Check out.
I was just to say, check out Zach James in general because, like we started with, you're very prolific. You've written across genres. Like you can find something worth reading for your specific genre and taste and stuff. Like the guy's
For sure.
prolific, and he's got something for you. So check him out.
And he's
Doing
sneak
yourself a
previewed
service.
a bunch of other sick stuff coming out. So no matter what,
get ready.
lock in, boys. But
Yeah, lot coming down the pipe. So
Excited.
love it. At least
It's
14
fun.
different things. Yeah, thanks for
least
coming
no.
on, man.
that's just what's like actively being worked on right now. I've got bullet points of just general ideas that I'm going to touch on eventually.
I love it, dude. Keep doing
Yeah.
it. Keep crushing it.
Thanks for joining us. It's always a pleasure having you on, man. It was much
Absolutely. Thank
much
you guys
needed
for
to
having
have
me
you
on
back.
again.
All right, guys. We'll see you next
Looking
time.
forward to the next time.
Yes. Look forward to next time. See ya.